Today I will discuss the use of multilingual pedagogies in a primary classroom for students in Year 3 and 4. English literacy and learning Indonesian will be my two main teaching areas. I'll introduce a multilingual approach in each topic, describe its components, talk about how it enhances student learning, support it with appropriate theory and research, and list potential drawbacks. In addition, I'll consider what I've learned about inclusive teaching methods and multilingualism. I'm creating a hypothetical classroom for a Year 3-4 primary class in Australia that has about 25 students. Students that speak English, Indonesian, Arabic, Punjabi, Mandarin, and Vietnamese at home make up the class's linguistic diversity. Students, especially English as additional language dialect learners, are in the varying stages of English language development. Students are in the early ages of acquiring both English literacy and additional language awareness, and Indonesian is taught in the schools in addition to English. This setting emphasises the value of inclusive, multilingual teaching strategies that assist all students and reflects the growing linguistic variety in Australian classrooms. The idea behind multilingual pedagogies is that students' languages are useful tools for learning rather than obstacles. Translanguaging, which describes how students use their entire linguistic arsenal across languages to produce sense, is a critical idea. Students are urged to connect languages in their learning rather than divide them. Deeper comprehension, identity validation, and involvement are all supported by this method. According to research by Garcia and Way, translanguaging gives students the flexibility to build knowledge using all available linguistic resources. In a similar vein, Cummins' research indicates that academic and cognitive abilities are cross-linguistic, learning one language that can facilitate another. I would employ a translanguaging strategy in Indonesian language instructions that incorporates students' native tongues, English and Indonesian. For instance, students might first discuss concepts in either their native tongue or English, depending on their desire, when learning about Indonesian cuisine culture. After that, they would study important Indonesian terms associated with the subject, such as makan, to eat, makanan, which is food, enak, which is delicious, key foods such as nasi, which is rice, may, which is noodles, ayam, which is chicken, and ikan, which is fish. Lastly, students would use a mix of languages, images, gestures, or brief English explanations to demonstrate what they had just learned. Active repetition. Students may make deep and intimate connections by contrasting Indonesian culture with dishes from their own cultural backgrounds. This enables students to interact with the material in ways that are consistent with their language proficiencies. Some benefits include that it enhances understanding across cultures, increases self-assurance when learning a language, promotes a sense of identity and belonging, and enhances vocabulary retention. Some theories include, according to Garcia and Way's translanguaging theory, students use all of their language skills to help them learn and make sense of things. Cummins' independence hypothesis says that skills and knowledge learned in one language can be used in another. Intercultural language learning, Leo Blanco, students learn a language better than they look at things from different cultural points of view and think about who they are. Some challenges would be that the teacher will not be fluent in every language. It's not physically possible. Dangers of unequal involvement because students don't understand what the teacher is saying or asking of them. And multilingual outputs is difficult to evaluate and understand, so we can't understand what the student is saying or is trying to communicate to the teacher, so just a bit of a blockade. Some responses or solutions are that you make use of peer translation teams. So if you have two Arabic students, have them work together. Prioritize meaning before making understanding of language, and make use of performance tasks and visuals. So I would assign multilingual reading and writing assignments for English literacy that lets students use their entire vocabulary. For instance, if it is feasible, students could read a brief narrative text that supports important terminology in their native tongue. Students would use their favourite language to debate ideas in pairs or small groups prior to writing. After that, They would write a response in English with the help of a bilingual vocab list, illustrations, and sentence starters. Additionally, students might write bilingual narratives in both their native tongue and English. This method makes sure that comprehension of literacy principles is not hampered by language. Some benefits include letting students think about concepts in their language before translating into English to lessen their cognitive overload, to promote deeper meaning making, to improve reading and writing comprehension, to boost involvement and participation, especially for our English as an additional language learners, dialect learners, encourages development of academic languages by expanding prior linguistic skills in other languages. Some theories include Cumminson's common underlying proficiency, which is the literacy acquired in one language that enhances another as academic abilities and conceptual knowledge transfer between languages. Cognitive load theory, which is Sweller, reducing cognitive demands to improve learning by concentrating on meaning. Plurilingual literacy, when students use their entire linguistic repertoire instead of segregating languages, they achieve better literacy outcomes. Of course, there are some challenges that come with it. There aren't many multilingual or translated teaching resources available. We can't give every student a translated resource. There aren't that many yet. But yet, if the English integration isn't guided, then there might be an excessive dependence on one student's native tongue. And standardized assessment procedures frequently mandate English-only output and limit multilingual expressiveness, meaning our multilingual students that aren't there yet, we're going to struggle because they have to get it to English. Some pros or responses to assist English production provide structured scaffolds, so word banks, sentence starters, and graphic organizers. Take a step-by-step method, starting with home language and ending with bilingual drafting, starting the finished English and then coming out to the finished English product. Give meaning making and idea development precedence over grammatical correctness. So just be lenient with marking. To bridge languages, use images, modeling, and oral rehearsal. When using multilingual pedagogies, there are a number of important factors to take into account. Teachers need to see language variety as an asset rather than a hindrance. By acknowledging home languages in the classroom, they also promote student identification and inclusivity. It's crucial to strike a balance between curriculum requirements and multilingual approaches, especially in assessment systems that prioritize English. Another important factor is ensuring fair participation, particularly for students with varying levels of language proficiency. Lastly, accessibility requires multimodal teaching strategies that incorporates gestures, visual aids, and group projects. The Early Years Learning Framework and ATSCL teaching standards, which place a strong emphasis on inclusion, equity, and responsive teaching methods, promote these ideas. My comprehension of multilingualism in education has really expanded over this semester. At first, I thought that language variety needed to be simplified or taught with an emphasis on English, but I now see multilingualism as a valuable educational tool that improves learning. Important theories that have shaped my understanding of how students acquire several languages are translanguaging and Cumminson's independence theory. Cross, Slaughters, Garcia, and Wei's readings have all reaffirmed the value of multilingual teaching methods. My understanding of the value of transparent scaffolding, visual aids, and adaptable lesson design was further enhanced by my peer teaching experiences, which was really fun. I've discovered that deliberate planning and a strong emphasis on student identity and inclusion are necessary for successful bilingual instruction. In the future, I hope to improve my ability to create multilingual tests and have a deeper comprehension of the developmental phases of English as an additional language dialect learners. Additionally, I want to be better interacting with families and communities in a bilingual setting. To sum up, multilingual pedagogies offer strong resources for inclusive and successful instruction. Students receive more academic and social support when their entire linguistic repertoires are incorporated in both English literacy and Indonesian language instruction. These methods promote equity in diverse classrooms while also improving understanding, identity, and participation. In the end, multilingual pedagogy is a fundamental method of teaching in linguistically diverse environments rather than an extra tactic. Thank you!